Yeah.
What's up, y'all?
What's up,
Happy
guys?
Monday, everybody.
Happy
Everybody's
Monday.
having a good start to the week.
That's
It's
it.
another good week to make some money online as always.
Very good week.
Good to see you guys. Saw Wolf and Queen. Queen, you're 30 minutes early. That's what's up. If you guys are new, we're live at 5 p.m. Eastern every Monday, answering your questions about selling on Amazon, all that good stuff. We've all been in the game for 5+ years at this point, so happy to answer any questions you guys got. And
Wolf says ready to learn.
Armand.
Yeah, Wolf, ask any questions you have.
What's up, Armand? What's up, Lee? You're a newbie. Very nice, very nice. How's wholesale going these days, Corey?
Good. Yeah, I was just putting in the chat or in the Discord chat a couple minutes ago that I had a 90-minute call with a brand owner last week that I've been following up with for literally almost 5 years. August will be 5 years.
Ooh.
And yeah, just trying to get him locked down. So call went well. We've got a follow-up for I think Wednesday of this week, and we'll just keep on going. So yeah, how about on your end? I know arbitrage, you've got a lot of really good seasonal buying opportunities coming up, especially going into the spring. So
Yep.
what kind of products are you guys buying on your end?
A lot of the same stuff, to be honest. Kind of just anytime there's good sales going on, it's good to rip for the most part. I know a lot of you guys just made a bunch of money on like Valentine's Day sales, President's Day sales. I'm trying to think what's gonna Easter's probably the next one. When is Easter this year? Sometimes it's like weirdly early.
Yeah, let's see.
April 20th. Okay, cool. So there'll probably be another good sale week in there somewhere, but Easter will probably be the next major
one. And if
one.
not Easter, probably like a big spring sale with a lot of like the sporting apparel websites.
Well, and that's what I feel like those are some niches that people really sleep on that are spring seasonal. Everybody thinks about Q4 and Christmas products and chocolate and candy and all that stuff at the end of the year. But I think spring is one of the most slept on seasonal sourcing opportunities because you've got all kinds of sporting, sports going on. So you've got sports products, all kinds of outdoor activities going on, anything from sunscreen to camping equipment to pools to saunas, right? All kinds of this outdoor stuff. And these are just some seasonal opportunities that a lot of people just don't think about, and therefore much less competition.
Yeah, a little bit of you can get a little bit of keep a product finder action on that too. If you guys go and over the next couple months start filtering down things that are sales rank dropping, that's big as well.
And the thing is, like, store all that stuff away, right? You should have a sheet for every time period of the year, a sheet for each season, each holiday. Because the things that are going to increase in velocity over the next couple of months are likely to do so over the next couple of years, and probably have if you look back in the historicals, right? So any like soccer cleats you're sourcing, soccer shorts, running, like, all the stuff that's correlated to spring, summer, all that stuff, keep an eye on, store it away, because you're going to be able to compound and multiply your arms, multiply your time for the years that you're an Amazon seller.
Yep. So don't like the profile pic, but we've talked about this, but excited to see you scale, man. You guys got the best of us this year. Let's see.
That might be added a personal seller amp.
Yeah, you can add them as a user to your seller amp, right?
Yep. Yeah, and not a sexy update at all, but there's new. You guys have been asking for a long time on settings profiles. Like I said, it's the least sexy update of all time, but like for those of you guys that source for different things, you can switch between like different settings now. So it's you pay sales tax for your OA stuff and you don't for wholesale and so on. Like there's some quality of life stuff that we threw in there. There'll be lots of fun stuff on the way soon, but that's where we're getting started for now. That's what everybody's been clamoring for, right? Is settings updates.
Means everything else is working well though. That's good.
Yep.
If
so
you're not requesting big updates, you're doing something right.
Right, exactly.
Let's see. What's up, Claire? How's it going? Hitting a little California trip, I believe. What's up, Wesley?
I saw he's out west.
Yeah, what's up, Wesley? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you guys are quiet today. Let us know what questions you guys got. Absolutely. Sweet. There they go. They're rolling in now.
Somewhere in the background, Miles is patting his ego. Be like, oh, that you.
He's like, yeah, exactly.
He's I have in the comments watching us?
Should I have tax exempt for buying products in bulk? Yeah. So if you're going to be doing wholesale on Amazon, then you're going to need to be a business entity. Usually for most people, that's an LLC, but talk to your accountant, make sure that's a good setup for you. And then from there, you'll register as a retailer with your state Department of Revenue. And then that is what allows you to buy tax exempt. So you'll get what's called usually like a sales and use tax number. You'll use that to fill out a resale certificate. You'll provide that resale certificate to your supplier, and then you will no longer have to pay sales tax on those purchases.
Trying to scale, I found an item that's good, but only lets me buy 3 at a time. What should I do? So you have 2 options. Option 1, call the brand and see if you can, get some sort of bulk buying situation, right? If it's a bigger brand, right, the Nikes of the world, Under Armours, Doves, likely not going to be super, super viable. But if it's a smaller brand, right, maybe it's around like a niche, maybe it's around like a rock climbing brand, something like that, very possible. So give the brand a call. Be ready, and this is important. Be prepared with the sort of quantity that you want, target price point, right? All that sort of stuff when you call, and in hopes that you can get that account. Alternatively, right, if it's like a smaller OA sort of thing that you're trying to do, other sites, right? Maybe message customer service, ask if you can buy 20, 30, 40, 50, right? You have so many different options to start to loop those orders, right? Sometimes if it's the same site, you can buy multiple of the same order or of the same item time and time again, right? So it depends on the OA site. If it is an OA site, message customer service, call the brand. You have tons of options.
Yeah, a ton of options to get around that.
It can be annoying, but at the end of the day, you can always just place a bunch of orders too. There's a site that was limited to me to 3 on something yesterday, and the team was like, "Yeah, what's going on here?" So I just sat there and watched the video and pressed the same 12 buttons like 20 times in a row. It's $100 an order. It's easy.
That's the thing, right? Part of OA is just earning and gaining that competitive advantage within a particular site. Right? It's knowing a site, knowing the ins and outs, knowing Lululemon, you only can order 5 at a time without getting canceled. Kohl's, you can only order 10, right? I'm making those numbers up, but it's knowing a particular site, how it works, what you can get away with, what you cannot. And that, in a way, it is a competitive advantage for that site, along with the discount mechanisms and levers you have per site, right? So if you know out of the 15 sites you really order heavy with, if you know how you can discount an item on that site and how you can order without a cancel and get the volume you need, well, that's the fluency that you need to earn and gain as you build up your toolbox, so to speak, as an OA seller.
Well, and better yet, you could just call that brand up and ask to open a wholesale account, right? Call up the brand and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get a hold of 150 units here. What do I need to do to purchase in bulk from you guys?" And then take it that way. That's absolutely worth a try, right? And that's my entire business model. So it definitely works.
Yep.
And again, it heavily depends on the brand. And a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Something Corey and I talk about a bunch is just like brand direct wholesale. You know a lot by just looking at the Amazon listing, right? If Amazon's on 100% of the listing, likely they're not going to sell to you. If the brand is on 100% of the listing, likely they're not going to sell to you. But if you see a listing where there's 10, 15, 20 people, smaller sellers, all buying and sharing the buy box, there's a good chance you're going to be able to call up that brand and work out some sort of agreement where you can buy directly from them. Again, something to note, if you search that brand and on this, the top row, there's not really anyone paying for PPC and sponsored ads for that product and brand. It's another lever that you can offer on the first call to get them interested and kind of get yourself in the door.
Yep. Good point.
See,
we want to order from to get is not a major well-known site, but it's only one that has the price we are looking for. Worth a shot. Search. If you can PayPal, right? If you can pay using PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, they're legitimate, right? You're not going to have any risk of not getting approved. And it's likely, ungettings are just a volume game, right? If you submit enough times, submit it as a PDF, all the things that you have, right? Pictures, credit card statements, you'll get through.
Yeah, as long as it's a legit site. To be honest, I've had a lot more trouble with like wholesale invoices for ungating than big websites. They've seen these even small websites a ton times more than these like mom and pop distributors, even though they're obviously very legit. Like it's funny, like websites can work a lot more often sometimes.
That is true, except what we're seeing a lot more recently, and Warner, I'm curious to see if you've seen this either. Inside our mastermind Discord today, somebody was talking about how he was fully restricted on, I think, Nivea, Gillette, and Braun for the longest time. But then today he went in to apply for those 3 brands and he was able to apply, but Amazon was asking for 300 units on the invoice. And it specifically said no retail order confirmations, or retail receipts. So, and it seems like that's happening on not a very large amount of brands by any means, but I am seeing that pop up. I'm curious to see if you've seen that on your end.
Yeah, it said no order confirmations for a long time. It's the same thing as no pro forma invoices. It's just because people were placing the order and canceling it Insta. It still works if you just add the whole picture. It's no different than a wholesale invoice that shows it was actually fulfilled, because it makes total sense. You just place the OA order, you cancel it, $0 down the drain, you have an invoice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Amazon definitely does not want people using that to get around it. Because again, then it's like, well, how can they prove the inventory is legitimate? So that makes sense.
Yeah. I have heard that about some other kind of harder to get brands today as well. Like I saw some people getting like some of the big clothing brands. So check and see if your account got blessed with some of the harder to get ungates. Yeah.
Just another Monday as an Amazon seller. You wake up and you never know what you're gonna walk into.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get.
That's the fun of it, though. If you don't like kind of adapting to things on the fly, problem solving, all that kind of stuff, then stick to the 9 to 5. Like that's just what it is.
A random Thursday, sellers got hundreds of thousands of Nike products got regated Monday morning.
Hey, it was back. It was back. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it better to sell more smaller priced items or less higher priced items? So ideally you'd have a mix of both. I personally like to sell products that have a higher sale price. But it depends on what you have access to and what products you can source at a good price.
I would say as a newer seller, I'm assuming that's kind of where the standpoint of the platform that you're asking from, probably smaller items or smaller priced items, just because there's less risk, right? One return as a newer seller, one replacement, one lost shipment, one of those scenarios, it sets you back $150, right? As opposed to, or in the same token, right? You buy 5 of a SKU that doesn't really move as much as you expected. Now you're stuck with $600 of dead inventory that you can't really move, as opposed to 20 units of something you bought for, $4, $80 is way more bearable as a learning lesson, right? As a kind of a roadblock than 600, right? So, I mean, in the beginning, in the first couple months, as you're iterating, as you're learning, as you're compounding all your knowledge, low risk is always better, right? So FBM, of course, right? Spreading your risk across 5, 10, 15 different SKUs, probably keeping your valuation, your stake in each of those ASINs to a couple hundred, right? You want to lower, you keep your risk very small, very thin, very wide until you learn, and then you can spend 10,000 on one SKU that you know is going to perform as you expect, right? But and when your business is worth $5,000, having 2,000 of it in one SKU in FBA that's not selling is probably not going to serve you best.
Yeah, especially if that 2,000 is in $200 units at a time. Like,
yep.
Yeah, there's also a little bit of a little bit of fraud and that kind of stuff that can go down with high ticket that will hurt you a lot more if you're brand new versus in the game for a while and just eat it a little bit easier. So let's see. Want to make sure we got some good questions from the past too. Yeah. Level of business you still experience day with no sales? Not really. That would I don't remember the last day I had no sales. Probably I guess it's like 18, 20 months ago, something like that, when we got shut down for a couple of weeks. Probably the last day with no sales. Like
yeah, I'd say that. I mean, the same. It's been many years.
Let's see. They still accept Walmart. Yeah, they'll still accept that.
Do you prioritize ROI or profit if you have to choose one? I mean, profit, but more than that, as a newer seller, I would overly index on velocity more so than ROI or profit. Right? Because the thing is, right, if you over index and focus on velocity, your worst case is very, very quote unquote best case, right? Because if something's moving and you don't make as much money as you hoped for, it's still moving, you're still getting that money back.
You can get your money back quickly. Yeah, exactly.
If you over index on profit, what's the worst case? It doesn't move. Well, now that money's stuck in Amazon FBA. You can't get it back. It's not selling, right? You can't really do anything to change the velocity. Whereas if something's moving fast and you don't get as much as you hoped for, well, worst case, you get the money back and you don't make 2,000, you make 1,500, and you're still good. You can still sleep well, right? So in the beginning, apart from ROI, profit, etc., over index on velocity, it's a safer bet, right? You'll keep moving forward. You'll iterate faster. I think it's just a safer play.
Yep, completely agree.
Yep. Let's see. Got approved to sell Crocs. Till you got a letter from the brand saying you're not allowed to sell it. So those letters are added to the burn pile. Those letters basically mean nothing as far as I've seen in my business, and I'm sure you guys have kind of seen the same thing. I've had literally one of those brands where they send you a letter ever turn into a real IP complaint. A brand that's going to want to kick you off is just going to do it. They're not going to send a bunch of weird letters and stuff.
But I will say one thing I would want to pay attention to is who did the letter actually come from? Because if it came through the buyer-seller messages from another seller, then completely ignore that. But if
Yeah.
it came, like, for example, through certified mail from Crocs directly, which sometimes might happen, then, it's up to you whether you want to take that risk. What I usually do is I sell through what I have, wait about a month, keep an eye on that listing. And if it doesn't look like the brand has kicked a lot of people off the listing, then I will jump back on that listing and sell that product again, and usually never have any additional problems.
What's the company that owns North Face? It's like Nar something.
VF.
Barrett.
VF.
So yeah, that's the only time I remember where I got a letter and it actually ends up in an IP complaint is North Face.
Yeah, VF. Yeah, they used to be based in headquartered in Greensboro, where I'm from, but I think they moved out to like Denver or something.
Yeah, North Face is one of those like do not sell brands. Some Columbia listing, some Crocs listing too. I know you were talking about Crocs, so check that listing and see if there's a good history behind third-party sellers. So
what's a
Kind of
good
up to your,
first business credit card? So if you have good credit, I would go Amex Plum, right? That's probably a no-brainer. You get some extra flexibility with your spending, right? So if you're FBMing and you're really pushing and hustling, you can make some real good headway with limited capital. So that's if you have good credit. And then if you have a lot of cash, I would say go straight for the Business Inc. Premier, 2.5% cash back. Free money essentially if you have the cash to kind of back your spend, which you should, right? 2.5% cash back. Chase Business Inc. Premier.
Yeah, that's my favorite card by far. I love that card.
let's see, got you, Cindy. What's up? If we have any good ones, say you stick to 100 plus monthly items now. Yeah, good. That's something a lot of people do as you start growing. So you're talking about finding stuff that gets some offer counts. Yeah. So if you're looking for stuff that sells nice and fast, a lot of people will only buy something if they can justify buying X dollar amount, right? Like when you're first starting, sure, I'll buy $20 worth of something. I'll see if it sells. I'll restock it if it doesn't, or I'll restock it if it does sell, that kind of thing, right? But as you go, you don't want to have 1,000 ASINs that you're hoping to make $10 each on. Probably just wasting a bunch of time managing that, where you could be outsourcing those things that make a lot of money.
Right.
Like a lot of people, they'll say, hey, I need to make at least $50 if I'm going to buy this, or $100 or $500, whatever makes sense for the scale you're at, rather than just having a bunch of little tiny products as you grow.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity for sure.
Yeah, and then he's also talking about getting some big seller count increases. So that just comes down to your product being too easy to find at that price. So you need more moats around the product is kind of how we like to call it. So that's discounted gift cards. That's asking customer service for a discount. That's buying on the right sale. That's checking some of your favorite websites every day and paying attention to, they run this 10% all the time. So it's going to be easy for that price to be replicated. Oh, wait, there's a 25 today. All right, let's spend a little bit more time because I know that's kind of a more limited time opportunity. It's just kind of taking every step you can to get things cheaper than other people. Basically, it will prevent that.
But it's also looking in different areas, right? It's maybe not the top two performing variations. It's maybe the size 13 that sells a little bit higher, a little bit lower or slower, but still has some good room for profit, right? It's maybe looking on listings where there's no buy box or there's no sales rank, right? Or listings that Amazon's in and out of stock on, because in the back of your head that's probably going to scare away a lot of newer sellers, right? It's looking in these different areas, more nuanced areas with a little bit more complexity, because again, anything you can do to kind of create a situation that's going to scare off and a little more of the novice seller, you're going to be in good shape.
And so here's a question I want to touch on, just because we know how much of a no-no this is at this point. Said, why is it bad to sell a product bought from eBay on Amazon? Because when you sell products that you bought from eBay on Amazon, you have no proof of the supply chain of that product. And that's something that Amazon has gotten very strict on in 2025, is making sure that you as the seller can prove exactly where you bought that product from. So if you buy it off some random person on eBay, you have no invoice from the manufacturer, you have no invoice from a distributor. Amazon will more than likely shut your entire account down if you're a newer seller and you get caught selling something on Amazon that you bought on eBay.
Yeah, you can sell it in used condition. I've definitely done a lot of that.
Yeah. That's a good caveat.
There's some good high ROI to be had in used condition, but just keep that in mind. Rules are way less strict if you're selling stuff used. Like video games, there's like electronics, books, all that kind of stuff.
Dude, back in COVID, I used to.
somebody needs to carve out that niche of content of like the Amazon used guy. You know, like who's the guy who's gonna like make his name talking about selling used stuff on Amazon? Because like I know there's a market for it, and I'm sure there's people crushing it, but I've never heard of anybody talking about it. Would be curious to see.
The only thing that comes to mind is Joji.
Yeah, he's books, right?
He does books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of I loved eBay to Amazon books. For a while there was this one eBay store I came across where they would bundle books that were worth way more than $4, and if you bought a bunch they'd turn them into $4 books.
Yeah.
So I'd just like sit on there and buy like $24 books every day.
I used to do the same thing.
Yeah,
I used to do the flip books from eBay to Amazon back in the day.
Yep. Might as well. I think that storefront's not doing that anymore. If not, then one of you guys can hunt for that.
Yeah. Albert said, "Are there any stats to bring up to a brand for why FBA is better for them than FBM?" So, Albert, I mean, in general, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's something along the lines of when there's a Prime eligible offer on the listing, the sales go up by, it's about 400%. It's literally a 4x increase just by having a Prime offer on that listing. So that right there, I mean, it's like, hey, brand owner, would you like literally a 400% increase in sales by just doing the easiest thing ever, which is sending your inventory into FBA? Like, okay, right? Who's not going to go for that? So that's the biggest one. And I mean, the second biggest, which ties into that, is that when you sell FBA, now your products are Prime eligible. So now customers can get them in one day instead of the 3 to 5 days it might take to FBM that product.
Yep. Yeah. Seeing a bunch of you guys asking about ungating, which is normal if you're new to the game. So if you get denials, anything like that, it's totally normal. Just keep resubmitting. You rename the file. So I'll just say like brand_invoice, and I'll change it to today's date as the file name. Generally, I'll open a new case instead of reapplying on the same one where you're getting like, saw somebody was saying that they're getting it like almost instantly declined. So you need to just open a new case, rename the file. You can also add extra things to the file. So if you guys just use like the target invoice, add the tracking proof, add a picture of the product, like whatever you got to do. Yeah, seeing a lot of ungating questions, which is great. So if you guys want like more detail on that, you could just look up ungating guide on YouTube. You'll kind of just walk through that. That's what I'm doing for my own personal Amazon store. So it's totally normal if you're getting some denials. Just got to keep it rolling.
And I want to answer this question from Josh earlier. He said, any tips on how to prepare for ASD? So Josh, I want to clarify some things around ASD. So first and foremost, ASD is not what it was even 2 years ago. And what I mean by that is that now that Amazon is a lot stricter on their supply chain requirements, now that you can't really buy from these middlemen or wholesalers, it makes ASD much more difficult as a trade show. And what I mean by that is 90% of the vendors at ASD are not buying directly from the brand. They are middlemen, they are wholesalers, they're unauthorized distributors. All right. So if you're going to go to ASD, it's still a good opportunity, but for a little bit of a different reason. If you're going to go to ASD, your goal should be to get practice talking to vendors and get practice approaching booths. All right. Now, you want to do your due diligence if you decide to buy anything, but just get reps in having conversations at trade shows with people sitting at booths. The other thing you should be doing at ASD is networking with as many other Amazon sellers as you possibly can. There will be a lot of Amazon sellers there. It's still a popular show for Amazon sellers to attend. So make sure you are exchanging contact information and hanging out with as many other sellers as possible. And one more caveat is not every exhibitor there is going to be unauthorized. There are going to be some legitimate brands and authorized distributors there. They're just very few and far between. So you've got to make sure you do your due diligence if you're going to go source and buy at ASD these days.
It's also, don't forget, like there's more trade shows than just ASD.
Oh, there's hundreds, thousands more.
ASD is like the big one, but if you look in your area, your small area, there's probably tens across the entire year without driving a whole, across the country, right? I know just in like Southeast PA, we have probably 7 just in the summer months alone, right? Between like Philly and all the surrounding bigger cities. So just check in your area. It doesn't have to be ASD. It doesn't have to be the real clickbaity ones. It could be some small mom and pop arts and crafts show that is more valuable, cheaper to get to, right? You have more time to connect with the sales reps and really make a name for yourself. And those ultimately are probably going to be more valuable. Again,
I mean, you use the one that we went to, what was it, 3-4 weeks ago as an example, right? We took 20-25 people from the Wholesale Network community to the Great Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is the biggest outdoor show in the world, not just the country, in the world. And we were probably the only group of Amazon sellers there. Like, it was a complete blue ocean. It was so easy to walk up to these brands and have these conversations because there weren't anybody else really doing it. So yeah, there's a million different trade shows you can go to, either locally to you or elsewhere around the country. There's a lot of opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
Is
Just big
that a good
trade show.
idea?
Hoosiers, what we're talking about.
So you're going to scale with using one item and keep reinvesting over and over. I mean, so obviously one item is not going to be practical to make a whole business around, but like it's always going to be the case where rebuying an item, right? Reordering is always going to be more efficient, right? Because you don't have to do the extra research. You don't have to find something else, right? So reordering is always going to be the name of the game in terms of really scaling and multiplying your business. You just need more products that are going to fit that mold. So what does that look like, right? They're stable. They're not super crazy offer count fluctuations, right? Or typically when you're finding the products that you can reorder, there is some sort of moat inherent to the product. Wholesale is built around these sorts of products, right? Because not anyone can go up to any particular company and buy that particular product at the same price, right? Always a little bit harder to kind of make those moats. We talked about them a couple minutes ago, right? Variations, buy boxes, right? No sales rank items, maybe items where Amazon's on the product, right? Adding complexity to your listing is naturally going to instill more chance of long-term stability. Not going to guarantee it, but more chance. And those are the ones that you're really going to be able to efficiently kind of grow your business around.
And we've got a good question from Jamal up here. So he says, how do you get lower prices with the brand I'm working with? It's been a few months, but I went from $400 on an order to $4,000, and I feel like I deserve a discount. So Jamal, first of all, congrats on getting in with that brand and raising your spend
Major
over
dub.
time.
Yeah, major dub.
You are one of the people that actually deserves a discount because you did it exactly right. You got a foot in the door with the test order. Now you've literally 10x'd your spend, if those numbers are accurate that you gave us. And all you've got to do at this point is just ask. And I can virtually guarantee you that they will give you some sort of discount if you can lay that out to them, right? Say, hey, my first order with you guys was $400. I've worked up to $4,000 a month. What sort of quantity discounts have I applied for, right? And like ask that as an open-ended question. So that way they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can give you 5% off, or, we can get you buy one, get one 25%, something like that. I guarantee you it will result in a discount if you just ask. But congrats, man. That's awesome. That's exactly how it's done.
Nice work. Let's see. How do you add shipping to the final price on your FBM without pricing yourself out? Yeah, so everyone's roughly getting the same shipping fees and all that kind of stuff, right? Because you're all just buying through Seller Central and all that good stuff. So as long as you're including a reasonable estimate for what you're actually going to pay, then you're good to go, right? And next time you get an FBM order, just plug in a bunch of like costs and dimensions or weights and dimensions, that kind of thing. You can just kind of write it down and get a feel for what certain sizes are going to cost you, basically. Let's see. How long does it take for Amazon to show the item as sold? You've got 4 items 2 weeks back still shown as pending. So some of the orders that are pending are if like the whoever bought it, like their credit card didn't have enough money left on it or something like that. They'll fall out of pending eventually, but they can sit there for a couple weeks until the credit card basically says this person's not actually going to have enough left on their balance or something like that. It'll bounce back and it'll throw back in your inventory. Let's see.
How do you add shipping into the final price when FBMing and adding free shipping without pricing? Oh, did you already do this one?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Provide me with some tips for getting the brand's approval for a wholesale business. So Tommy, what I like to do, my best approach is just to try to get a foot in the door first and foremost as a reseller of their product. So when I first contact a brand, I'm not pitching them on all this value I can add or what I can do for their listings or the advertising I can run. I just try to approach them with some very specific products that they have and the exact quantities that I want. And I just try to talk to somebody in sales. I say, hey, I want to buy 100 units of this product, 200 units of this product. Who can I send my order to? A lot of times that's enough for them to take you seriously enough to then process that order. Now you've got a foot in the door, and then you build that relationship over time.
The key is right. Like he didn't approach them. Hey, I'm an Amazon seller. What can I buy? right? There's a dramatic difference to that approach than the one Corey just kind of walked through. It's the specifics, it's the intentional, it's the calculatedness of it, right? It's the strategicness of it. The more specific you are, the better you are.
Yep.
Safe to buy from Walmart third-party stores with good reviews? I would say generally no. Just because the next question, if Amazon's like, all right, we see you bought it from a third-party seller on Walmart, but where did they get it, right? Like that's gonna not end super well. In general, don't buy from third-party sellers on any marketplace.
So Jamal, another good question. So he says, every distributor in my niche doesn't have a UPC or item list. Therefore, I can't scan their items. It sucks because there's thousands and it's tough to manually check each one. What to do? So Jamal, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use the RFQ method. And what that stands for, it stands for request for quote. So you're just going to get a list of brands that your supplier carries. Usually they're going to have that on their website. And you are going to find 3 to 5 products per brand for 3 to 5 brands. And you're going to figure out the quantity of each product that you would want to buy. And you're going to send that list over to the distributor and you're going to ask for quotes, right? That's why it's called the RFQ method. And they're going to give you a quote for each product. And you're going to look at the pricing they give you and you're going to see if it's profitable. If it is profitable, then you buy it. If it's not profitable, then you ask the simple question of how many do I need to buy to get X price? X price being whatever price you need in order to be profitable. And then you just rinse and repeat that process for 3 to 5 products for 3 to 5 brands as many times as you want. And you're going to find a lot of good products that way.
Because ultimately, right, instead of, I mean, if there's, 6,000 rows, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go one by one all the way down, right? You want to kind of find the areas where there's good products, right? The good products hang out close to each other, right? So within a particular brand, if you found some stuff that is moving, well, there's likely going to be more, right? So if you can identify those 3 to 5 brands that Corey was talking about, right? Those are inside that brand, maybe go one by one, right? But identify a brand target list and then use that to drive your sourcing one by one from there, right? Additional variations, multi-packs, right? Other listings of the same SKU, all that sort of stuff, right? Products where the UPC doesn't match up, but the listing's actually the same, right? The scanning softwares for wholesale aren't super, super great. It's always going to make more sense to go one by one, but in order to do so, you have to find somewhere to look, right? The interesting areas to look, and that's going to be within the brands.
And yeah, Jamal, just to clarify that, no, so you're not picking random items. You're picking items that are already selling well on Amazon. So if you're using a tool like a Smart Scout, or you can just type the brand name into Amazon and see which products come up that are already selling well, that aren't dominated by Amazon, right? That would fit your normal criteria that you would sell, assuming you could get them at the right price. Those are the products you put on the RFQ.
Yep. See, think Amazon changed how gating works? They don't accept. If that were true, there would be 0 new Amazon sellers on any retail store brand. But if you go to a bunch of retail store brands, you go to Great Value, you go to Up and Up, you go to anything like that, you're going to see a bunch of just launched sellers. So that is
and that's only showing up on certain ungating applications for certain brands, right? It's definitely not all of them.
Yeah, and an order confirmation is a confirmation, right? So they just want to see your tracking information. That's how it's always been too. We're just clarifying that now. Let's see. Repricer. There's try like a Be Cool or there's a bunch of good repricers, like $25 a month. You can start with.
Yeah, I would say Aura if you're not yet at the point where you can afford Seller Snap.
For sure. Yeah, so let us know if you guys have any last minute question to here, and they'll probably go ahead and wrap up. See, can you sell any products internationally, even if you're just a beginner? So I assume you're talking about like enrolling in Canada and Mexico, which Amazon makes pretty easy, but I would not opt into that until you know your numbers super well, because some items in those other marketplaces, you get charged extra fees that can be pretty dramatic. There's also kind of like different geographic restrictions on stuff. So like one that I like to mention is like if you sell grocery products in Canada, it has to have French on the label if it ends up in Quebec, basically, right? Because that's just like the law up there. So there's like a lot of like random geographical kind of restrictions you can run into on accident. So just stick with the US market. And then if there's ever a product that is crushing on a different market, you can definitely like think about cross listing. But I would just stick with US for now.
Yep.
Yeah, I did notice that Jamal changed his profile pic midstream. I did notice the profile pic change.
That's funny.
Let's see, buy an item to send it to a facility. How long does it take? Assuming you're using a prep center. Good rule of thumb is like the second you buy it to when you'll start making your first sales is usually around like 3-ish weeks for if you're using a prep center. Give or take a little bit depending on how busy the FCs are. This time of year, it's maybe even a little bit faster than that on average. During Q4, it's probably a little bit longer with slower check-in times and stuff like that. Sweet, good place to wrap up though. I think good vibes as always. Lots of good questions. So if you guys have more, we'll keep streaming throughout the week. That kind of stuff. I know I'll be live on my channel Tuesday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then hopefully you guys pop up on there every now and then as well. Make sure you guys follow Garrett all at Amazon. Follow Corey if you guys are coming from my stuff. And yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. And dive into some free content on YouTube today. Just go get after it. Focus on making that first sale. That's the biggest thing. Don't let it be your 100th hour on YouTube without going out and selling something. So
yeah, let's crush it.
Yeah, for sure. Good
See you
good
guys.
vibes though. You'll have a good rest of your day.
Yep. Happy Monday.